So if any of you can relate with losing a child to an electronic device and just not having their attention and not knowing where they are, and even just sitting around at the kitchen table with no devices and wondering where they are, or losing track. And there's so many very wonderful, fun, and incredibly frustrating things about having teenagers. And I include tweens in this, so I'm not going to keep saying tweens and teens, but this whole conversation is for middle schoolers and high schoolers. So keep that in mind if your kid is not quite a teenager, but certainly fits into this category. So just a little bit about me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Krista Inakovsky. I'm a certified life and mindfulness coach, a certified yoga instructor, teaching meditation. I've been teaching mindset for success to entrepreneurs, professionals, and adults for years. I've been at UCF at their incubator and the entrepreneur program for Microsoft, for all sorts of programs, more for adults. I'm also a trained mastermind facilitator, and essentially if you just think of a small group of people that are together to brainstorm and elevate one another, that's essentially what a mastermind group is. And so I've been facilitating those for years as well. So personally, I've gone through a big life transition over the last 6 months or so. And prior to that, preparing for it, I was able to dive in even deeper to my own mindfulness, meditation, mindset, personal development practice to just to get right, to figure life out, to decide who I was, what I'm all about, where I'm going, and how to make major life changes from a powerful place. And this could be different for different people, different times in your life, whether it's a career change, a marital change, moving, just recognizing that maybe you're not living to your fullest of where you want to be, or just recognizing that there's something new that you want. We don't have to do the same thing or live the same life just because you signed up for it out of college. It doesn't mean that it has to be your life forever. So, these types of things, hi Kathy, are really what I've been working with people for years. People transitioning out of corporate America and into starting their own business, being an entrepreneur, all of the mindset work that goes along with this. And when I talk about mindset, the general definition of it is learning to be in the present moment. And when we can tap in and harness the power of the present moment and understanding more of how our mind and our emotions work, it gives us individually a lot more power and strength to make great decisions, to be more content, more satisfied in where we are with our life. And it takes training. I mean, to be honest with you, it's not taught unless you happen to have parents that were living this life. You probably weren't exposed to it. Or someone like me who's been just loves personal development, has wrapped up into it and continued to dive in and to learn it on my own from a lot of different places. And anyway, I say all of this to say that as I was coming to this kind of new phase in my life of what do I really, really want to do, as the dust is beginning to settle, bringing mindfulness to our teens and tweens just kept really, really calling to me and speaking to my heart as something that's incredibly, incredibly important. And there's a ton of reasons. So I'm going to scan through some of them so that you can see what may resonate with you. Again, whether you're a parent, a teacher, a coach, an aunt, an uncle, someone who just cares about this next generation that's coming up, the conversation is for all of us. It's about shaping this generation to be self-thinkers, to have an awareness, to learn and be able to have communication skills, to be able to read each other, to really be able to listen without interrupting, to understand the difference between what you're seeing on a screen and the emotion of someone that's actually right there in front of you. Statistically, our teens are stressed out, out. It's crazy, the statistics that I've been reading. For example, teens are more stressed out than adults. For those of you who feel really stressed out, that's scary to think that they're worse, right? Exactly. And not only are they're feeling the stress, here's the one that got me. Out of a huge survey that was done, 45% of teens said that they're stressed out, quote, all of the time. So in the category of never, somewhat, sometimes, all of the time, which means that that's chronic stress. And hi Katie, chronic stress, well, I think we've all had it enough to know that it sucks. Like, it feels terrible, but to compound that on top of being a teenager that's developing it's more than we need to do. So for me, this is a movement. It's a collective conversation on how we can stop being part of the problem and turning into being part of the solution. And that's giving kids the tools, broader conversations, more in-depth. It's almost, like, on one hand I say in-depth, but on the other hand I think bigger, like a bigger scope to see the world so that they can wrap their hands around what's important and what's just a bunch of baloney. Because honestly, a lot of what's stressing them out is made up. And at the same time, whatever your reality is your reality. So no matter how fictitious or wrong, I would never say wrong to anyone, but a misperception, whatever you believe is your reality, and that's what they're dealing with. So in Empowered, first of all, from the broad scope, it's just opening up a conversation to give tools and for both the parents and the teens. So I'll continue to be doing lives and posts in any way I can inspire and teach online. And then from that, I'll be doing the Empowered Academy, which are live classes that I will start doing in Orlando for the fall season. And I'm sure it will expand from there. But these are intimate in-person conversations where the kids are around peers, and not only are they learning the techniques and modules, things that they probably don't have much awareness around, but it's the fact that it's being done in a live group conversation that I'll be able to facilitate in helping them to learn how to listen, how to talk, how to see things from other people's perspectives. And that's not only from their peers, but it's going to really help them understand us, the parents, the teachers that are coming from a different generation, from a different place, and allow them to be better communicators and see that just because my way, if I want to be right in my way, I don't have to make you wrong. There's this whole open space that comes into understanding that we can all have our own beliefs, our own perception, our own grasp on a situation, and not have to make anybody else wrong about theirs. So that's just one of many topics, but that, like I'm saying, gives so much space and openness to allow the kids to see things from a broader perspective. Some other concerns that I have that we'll be addressing, hi Allison, thank you, hi Shannon, is the kids are under a lot of pressure, right? So academically, with even all the things that they want to do, right? Whether they're in sports or in art or in dance or in theater, whatever it is, and it all comes down and compounds, it becomes very intense. And so through some of the tools and techniques and conversations that I'll be having with them, it's going to help them figure out how to pivot better, how to realign, and how to be present in the moment to do the best that they can in that exact moment. So it's been studied and researched time and again that mindfulness and meditation techniques will help students as test takers. So this is great for those who are older teens that are getting ready for college and that their tests are very, very important to them. You come in stressed out about whatever has just happened with your family, on the phone, anything, and then come in and try to take the test. Statistics show that the test scores are lower than those who've had time to come in and have been taught a mindfulness practice. Actually, my nephew Drew did this as his thesis, and I'll be bringing him on as a guest to explain the research that he did and what that looked like for the test taking. So there's lots of different applications, but I'm here to help us as parents to elevate our kids so that they can thrive and find self-confidence, self-awareness, knowing what self really is and how to be self-centered so that they are grounded when things come at them. We may think that life is like super swell and our kids are perfect, which is great because of course they're perfect. And at the same time, there's always an underlying story that they haven't shared. And from my heart, I hope that they don't have any problems at all and they're the one kid that's never been bullied, or the one kid who never gets broken up with from their girlfriend or boyfriend, or the one kid who never messes up a test. But at some point or another, it's going to happen. And so this is giving our kids the ability to help prepare to manage when things go wrong. Because if you're there and you're listening, do you agree that something's going to go wrong at some time? And it might even be our fault? I mean, that's as much as we try to do our best as parents, we're going through our own life and they know it and they feel it too. So on so many different levels. Yes, thank you. Thanks for sending those thumbs up over there. So again, I could talk about this for hours and hours, but I'm not going to do that at this moment. I do want to hit on the empowered framework that I've created, and it actually follows the word empower. So briefly, the M, of course, is for mindfulness, and that really is the platform of what we're bringing. It's the sense of being present and recognizing what's happening in your life right this moment. The P actually does stand for present moment focus. We and our kids are all practicing distraction like 10 hours a day. Every time we're on a device, every time we're on a computer and listening to somebody else and watching the TV and then the phone rings and we have another conversation, that's practicing distraction. And so our brains have gotten really good at it. We're good at anything, it's distraction. And yet the problem with that is it doesn't allow for deep thought, the deep work, if you're getting into something that's deeply creative. It doesn't allow for understanding oneself and being able to read and recognize your own emotions, let alone somebody else's, because we're moving, the brain's scattering so quickly. And the other reason, yay, getting some good thumbs up there. And then focus and, so okay, I lost my own train of thought talking about focus. Isn't that perfect? Mentioned that focus is about being present to read other people, to know and enjoy our life. And when we get so caught up in the chatter in our head is about something else from the past or what we're worried about doing in the future, it steals the joy from the present moment. We're missing out on what our meals taste like and what it's like to sit across from another human being and actually have a conversation that means something. I mean, I was noticing it at my own dinner table with my kids, even without the devices, that we're switching conversations before the other person's finished. The mind's already off to something else. And I can see that my kids are having trouble just holding in an in-depth feeling and conversation enough to get deep enough into a full conversation. And if you can relate to this in any way, you can give me a thumbs up or feel free. Hi, Skip. Thanks for watching. Also, you may be commenting that I can't see, but please do comment if anything I'm saying is resonating or words. Go ahead and throw those in the comments. That will help a lot. So that's present focus, which is the P. Then we go into O, or spelling the word power, is to own it. And owning it means taking 100% responsibility for who you are, what you do, your actions, your thoughts, and your way of being. And that can be the most liberating thing that anyone can do. And I'm speaking more to the adults now, for us to take 100% responsibility for the good, the bad, the mistakes, the junk, what other people have done to us, where we are. When you hold this space of 100% responsibility for yourself, it empowers you. And that's what I want the kids to know, to stop feeling like a victim of somebody said this, somebody commented that, my parents, sure, blame the parents. Why not? We all do it. Taking 100% responsibility and ownership is key. And when we get into that module, we'll also be diving into helping the kids understand that our thoughts, we are the only ones who can control our thoughts. And so that really opens up a whole space for them of understanding how the brain works and how the thoughts are processed, and practicing what that looks like, and not taking on the thoughts of somebody else, which is very easy to do. Okay, so that was P-O. The W is why now. So why now for why at the teenage years, why at the middle school and high school years. They need help. They're sending out an SOS of chronic stress. And I want us as the older generation to be a part of the solution and stop being part of the problem that's egging this on by putting on overly too many demands on them. Also, the brain continues to develop throughout the age of about 23 to 25. So what that means is not only are they experiencing all that they're experiencing, but the brain itself hasn't fully developed. And so this is a great time for them to learn these lifelong tools so that they can carry them with them. As adults, they're much easier to adapt into and adopt some of these practices and then carry them and let them grow with them over time. This is not just, as much as I love like learning how to sing or learning how to dance or how to kick a soccer ball, those are all great things. This also is a great thing and better because it's going to be with them and develop with them for life. So the why now comes to about like why they're teens, and then the other part of why now is just in this day and age of 2019 moving into 2020 that all of us, I believe as a society, can absolutely benefit from understanding some of these core principles of mindfulness and not letting the distraction, overwhelm, influence from the ridiculousness that we see on TV and on devices be our biggest thought and our biggest, like what's in our face most. So, this is just a great time in general for all of us. Hi, Bonnie. Let's see. So Allison says, I believe that we are so disconnected because of social media and such. It's really true. And as much as I'm aware of it, I fall into the trap myself all the time. End up like going, what the heck are you doing, Krista? Put the phone down. Your son's standing here. So it's a good lesson for all of us. All right, so we've gone through P-O-W. The E is for emotion. Again, this is a really amazing, juicy topic. Understanding, and I don't want to dive into it too much, but in a lot of the research that I've done to come to this place, I study quantum physics and neuroscience, and the law of attraction. So in the big picture, all that looks like is understanding how the brain is wiring and firing and the difference between our physical body and our emotional body and how they work together. So I'll be able to illustrate for the teens in a way that they can get it without getting too sciencey, on that the emotions for a lot of what's happening to all of us, no matter what age, is we become reactionary to our environment and we allow whatever's happening to dictate how we feel. So you wake up in the morning, you check social media feed, and whether it feeds you or pisses you off or makes you feel insecure or makes you feel like you're not good enough or got enough likes, that's one thing that's dictating how we feel. And then we get to start our day and go, oh, today's going to be great. Or I don't like the way I look today. I'm trying to get in a teen's head right now. And we are reactionary to our environment. And it happens in a lot of different ways. The social media is just one, but everything from being late from you're stuck in traffic or you're burning your toast, which I do all the time, if you've noticed. When we become reactionary to our environment, we're letting the environment win. So to flip the script on this is teaching the kids and the parents what it means to create the emotion that you desire to have and lead with that. And when you can lead with self-confidence, when you can lead with today's going to be a great day. Everything that I need is going to show up for me today. My test, I got this. I studied last night. The test is going to be fine. I'm going to do great. I'm centered. When that's the energy you bring to your test, when that's the energy you bring to the people that are around you, then that is what you're going to see, and that's what you're going to focus on. And so that I'll tie into some of the law of attraction, because the law of attraction is a law just as much as the law of gravity. And so I'll be explaining that. And the quantum physics part of it is the scientific proof of law of attraction. That's my own interpretation from studying both. It just shows that the law of attraction is not hocus pocus, that there's scientific research, a lot of it now actually, with the increase of technology, that they're literally able to study what's going on in the brain and reading the waves. So all of this that I'm talking about is proven. So giving kids the fuel to say, all right, how do I start my day? How do I make sure that when I show up, I'm in the state that I want to be? And then when your day sucks in the middle of the day and something happens, how do you pivot and get back on track? So those are key elements, and it comes with meditation, actually. So I'll be throughout teaching different forms of meditation. I don't think of a monk on a mountaintop humming Kumbaya or Om for 5 hours. And meditation is very mainstream now. The scientific research is proven time and again. And even in a simple action of a breath and an exercise that can be done in a matter of minutes can help them get centered and recentered into preparing for that test, preparing to have the conversation with someone. So very actionable steps that they can take. And then that leads us, that was the E. The R in power, we just spelled empower, is relationships. And in this world, that's what it's all about. It's connectivity to other human beings. And we can't forget that. All that we're doing, why do we want our kids to get all A's, to get into college, to get a good job? It's not just for some made up track. And I'll dive into that another time for those of you who want to listen, because that's not the track for everyone. What's important is that they're happy, right? We want happy teens who feel good about themselves. We want to be happy parents who feel good about ourselves. And having good relationships and understanding how to have that, how not to get triggered because somebody said something bad or gave you a thumbs down instead of a like, or all of these, on a small scale, it sounds silly, but it means the world to our kids at that time. And in certain fashions, we know exactly what that is. We're getting the brunt of that in other ways. So it's about relationships. And that's why I'm doing these classes in person, in small groups, in a very casual, it's not in a classroom setting. It's in a very loungy couch setting, sit on the floor, sit around, getting comfortable, getting real about what's going on, and learning how to collaborate, right? I do work with a lot of entrepreneurs and in the corporate space, and there's a space for people who are skill oriented. They're going to learn how to code. Yes, like Go Women Coders, like that's a thing, and that's fantastic. There's a time for task, there's a time for skill, there's a time for tech. And what is also very, very desired in the workplace and will continue are the soft skills. It's collaboration, it's leadership, it's interpersonal relations, because our world is getting less, like as we're promoting, it's less salesy. That's actually, I always like to get sidetracked. I'll try not to get sidetracked. But if you'll notice in commercials, in the way that companies are connecting with people, it is in a much more personal way. And if we don't help our kids learn that and be that, not only will it not help them in the professional world, but their personal life, right? Learning these skills to have good relationships with friends, with partners, with potential spouses, all the way down the road. So, all right, that's an overview of the Empowered framework, and the modules will be taught. And then I'll just end it with how I'm going to deliver it, so that you know. Again, if you are not in the Dr. Phillips, Windermere, Southwest Orlando area, I still would love for your contribution and engagement on social media, because this will continue to grow. And there's a lot that we can share through social. As for the program that I'll be doing this school year, it will be in person. I'm going to do a middle school class, a high school class, and then a daytime class that's geared towards kids who are doing the virtual school or a homeschool, that they get to come in during the day. And these are all happening one day a week. So it is hitting all of these things, hitting all of these different levels for the kids to be able to self-express, to be able to learn how to communicate, how to listen. We're decreasing stress, we're decreasing overwhelm, we're decreasing judgment, all at the same time, while elevating self-awareness, self-esteem, self-focus. So all of these things, we want to balance this back up to give our kids their best chance. And I'm not looking to work with kids who are troubled. I'm looking for that just kid that's out there doing their best and doing a great job, and wanting, as parents, we want to help them excel and give them these life tools that are going to get them through those rough patches. I want to share a story, but I didn't get my son's permission, so I won't. But I hear there's always these things that you hear. Like you think everything's going super great, and then the way after the fact you hear, well, I didn't say anything, but I was getting bullied. I didn't say anything, but this is what happened. Or behind the scenes, seeing the kids that are excelling in all these areas and just feeling drained and depleted in a lot of different ways. So I think we all have a really good grasp of the why. So the how includes the in-person once a week. And then here's the key that I'm super, super excited about and thought was 100% necessary. Each week, I will also be doing a Zoom like I'm doing right now, where for the parents, the aunts, uncles, whoever cares about these kids in your family can tune in, ask questions with me, and I'm going to give a quick synopsis of what that key module was and what we covered. Because for our kids to excel, we need to be on the same page. You as parents need to be on the same page, and you need to understand where I'm coming from. And I would never expect the kids to try to explain it to you, because we know what it's like to go, how was the party? After they just did this most amazing thing ever. And they come home and they go, it was fine. How was class? It was fine. So I don't need the kids to tell you what's going on. You're going to hear it directly from me. And believe me, you're going to not only be listening to help your kids, that you'll be enlightened as well, and be able to tap into some things that you'll be using and want to use and adapt in your own life. So that's the overall format. Right now, everything is on the website. I will be updating the dates and the program. So reach out to me. I guess that's my big call to action, is to reach out to me. We can have a private conversation on whether, if you have a child who you think would be a great fit, we can have a conversation about that. 2, since this is a new movement, I am looking to those of you who know me to help me get this information in the hands of other thought leaders in this area. Specifically, again, I know that this is going to have much broader reach, but for the time being, I am focused geographically on people who can get to Southwest Orlando once a week with their kids. Now, I know when I was a dancer, or when I was studying dance, I had a scholarship to a dance studio that was an hour away. So you can make it happen. You don't have to live down the street. But if you do, it's all the easier. So yes, help me. I'm reaching out to and would love personal introductions because that's always easier for the high schools and middle schools and private schools that are in Southwest Orlando. So Dr. Phillips, Windermere, Gotha specifically, for these initial classes. And then the amazing thing is this framework that I teach is something that can be done in a workshop format. So I can come out if you have a group. If you already have a team, have a class, have something, I can come out as a special guest and do a full day workshop. We can customize what that looks like. And so that's what we have. If you have any questions, type them in or vocalize them. And of course, you feel free to reach out to me individually. And if you're listening, if anyone's hearing this live, I'd love to hear just a couple of, post a word or two of what you think as far as the relevance and of this. Do you want to add anything, Michaela?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, I just think it's really important that just from seeing kids, I'm teaching 5th grade, so they're almost the teens, tweens, I should say, and seeing the amount of stress that these children have at the end of the school year, that it's so important that they feel the positive attitude and the positive energy from their parents. Is that makes such a world of a difference, because the kids can feel, I think that's also part of it, kids can feel that negative energy. And I think it's important that us as parents understand how to empower kids so they can then empower themselves.
That's such a great point. And you were my daughter's favorite teacher. Because you I think a big part of that is you have the ability to put it in a positive light, even when there's a struggle. And as parents, there's a lot, the kids are feeling pressure already, and we need to be the voice that's supporting them, not the one that's beating them down or showing them how they haven't met our expectations.
Agree, yeah.
And that's why I look forward to including the parents in these conversations, because sometimes we're doing the best we can based on what our parents shared with us. And as we look back, each generation is coming from a different framework. And I was having this conversation this morning with one of my girlfriends who also has 3 teenagers, saying that I'm going to say our generation, like those of us who have teenagers are most likely Gen X. And we're in a different space than even the millennials. The millennials are already feeling that life can be different than it is, that this track of get all A's to be valedictorian, to get into the top college, to get a corporate job. And then you pause and go, okay, how does that story play out? For some people, it plays out great. But for a lot of people, at the point of this success story of now having the corporate job, they're stressed out. The marriage is falling apart. They have bad health. It's not the thing to always strive for. Right. So we are so ingrained in this belief system that that's the way to go, that we keep passing it forward. And so to open up the conversation to ourselves and go, why am I instilling something that I don't even necessarily align with anymore? And what does it look like for my kids to be successful and prepare for a successful, happy life? Not what's success if you're not happy and have good relationships? And what does that look like? And then from the kids' perspective, how can they share their beliefs and their feelings without feeling like they're attacking us, and vice versa? How can we open up the space to have a more open, collaborative conversation of what's important? And these are things that really mean a lot to me and that I'm able to do with the families that I'll be working with. I've been able to do that in, in a more professional setting. So that is the synopsis. And yeah, what else? Is anyone else? Hi, Brett. How are you? I seem to have friends watching that have more college age students. So that's also a really helpful perspective because they've been through it and now they're in college, and maybe to just think back to what their kids have gone through, because now there's more exposure to what they actually did. As we're going through it, we're not really sure as parents, but once they've been through it, they can get a little bit broader perspective. So like I said, even if you don't have teens yourself, but you've had one at one time or you're related to them, join the conversation, reach out to me as either directly or comment on whatever conversations I have on social media, so we can really get out there and make it. Other thing, it has to be fun, right? Kids won't do anything that aren't fun, and I wouldn't want them. So I can get they're probably not going, oh yeah, sign me up for the mindfulness class, because they probably don't know what that means. However, there are a lot of them who are loving yoga once they experience what it's like to actually open up and talk and be heard. And I've got these fun activities and games. We're going to be writing, drawing, whatever is their way of expression is all going to be included. And so once they get a chance to do it, that feeling that they can't express themselves, I know that they're going to like it, or I'm totally screwed. No, it has to be a environment. And I think we can also give kids we should give them more credit for what they're able to do. I know you as a teacher, you're great at this, like you're pushing the boundaries, you know what they're up to. Sometimes we don't keep up with what they really can be stretched to learn, but we have to stick with it. Like that's where the focus part, it's almost like they are testing us. You start you want to have a deep conversation, they tune you out and we give up, at the end they can't do it. But that's not the truth. We start a conversation, they tune us out, we kind of keep coming back to it, talk about it a different way, really ask them. I've found once you kind of crack that open and the kids start talking, they have a lot to say. They need the space to do it, and they need an environment. And I'll also say, as great as parents are, kids need and want an adult that's not their parent.
100%.
Yeah. Will you talk to that for a second, Michaela?
I just know that, sometimes when I ask my daughter, I feel like that they're very comfortable with us as parents, but it's funny, just being a teacher, there's a lot of things that I will share with my students' parents, and they'll hear them say, they never told me that, or I didn't know that was happening. And I feel like sometimes kids, they need an alternate route, and they need somebody else to feel comfortable with, to feel safe with, and not all kids have that. Sometimes they just have their parents. So to be able to be put in an environment or a position where they feel comfortable with somebody, another adult, to share information with, a lot more stuff comes out. And especially when they're with other kids around their age that are experiencing the same things. Because sometimes us as parents, we have such crazy lives and such busy lives that we cannot sometimes just switch modes and get into that mindset of how they're feeling, and to have somebody else be there to talk to with other kids experiencing the same things, they feel more comfortable, and they're more able or liable to share information. They might not share with their parents. Not saying that they don't think that their parents are a safe place, but it's a different experience for them.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
I agree completely. Yeah, the relationship's different. And so for those that is the right fit, I'm excited to be that. And it's not a teacher. I'm not grading them. There's no pressure on that.
Right.
It's a different relationship than they have with their parents or with their teacher. And that I think it's going to be really good. And oh my gosh, just being able to like let things off your chest, and then those things that you feel like, for adults as well. I always keep coming back to adults, but kids especially, when you feel like you're the only one who feels that way, and then you realize, oh my gosh, they're all going through something similar. Like what is this normal that we're all trying to just be normal? There's
no such thing.
There's no such thing. And yet everyone's trying to just fit into this average. And I had another great conversation with a mom of a middle schooler, a tween, saying that her daughter's extremely bright, extremely outgoing, feeling that she needs to come down, not to stand out, and almost feels like dumbing herself down or not shining too bright just to kind of fit in because that's where it's comfortable, especially in middle school. So we could elevate the conversation and get a group of leaders, of developing emerging leader kids that have that in them to say, no, what if we all take a step up together? What if we all rise together? Let's elevate the conversation. Let's elevate how we show up. They don't have to use that phrase if that's not tweenish enough, but that's how I see it, is being able to rise up, to be better, to be kinder, to be more supportive, to be collaborative instead of combative. And so if they're spending 7 hours a day, 5 days a week in that type of environment or something similar, to be able to come out and spend 75 minutes a week in a good environment is, and then I'll also be sharing things that they're going to add on, little meditation practices and things that they can do every day, and for that to become habit. Anyway, I enjoy the conversation, and thank you for being live with me, and thank you for those who are live on Facebook and for your comments. And we'll keep the conversation going, and please help introduce Empowered to schools or programs, places where we can share this to get these programs up and running. Let's do something great for our kids. All right, well, thank you, and I will say goodbye. It's always hard to say goodbye, but thank you. And
thank you, Krista.
Thanks. All right, that's it on Zoom. I will turn this one off. Thank you. Bye.